The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Upcoming featured entertainment includes the Reagan Years on January 31st. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Northern Virginia fine artist Daniel Redfern has been featured in Beverly Hills Magazine and the Global Art Times, not to mention over 1 million followers on Instagram as a social media influencer. He joined me to discuss his latest oil painting called Eternal Majesty: The Rise of the Golden Shadows, which has been viewed more than 200 million times on Instagram and TikTok and was recently appraised for $15 million by the Naturalist Gallery in New York City. Daniel Redfern, hey, thank you so much for joining the Beyond the Fame podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be your first fine artist ever.
Yeah, you say the first fine artist. I mean, well, I guess I've had a couple, rock stars, that dabbled in art on the side, but they were mostly, famous musicians, like the late lead singer of the Cars, I remember, and maybe a couple others. It's not like we've avoided the fine arts in coverage. I definitely have covered it over the years 1 million times, on WTOP, the biggest, news station in DC. Actually, the most profitable in the country for 16 years, and art exhibitions or festivals, Bethesda Arts Fest, Smithsonian, National Gallery of Art, Hirshhorn, all that stuff. But as far as this podcast, you are the first official full-time fine artist. So you got the title.
I'm so excited. I'm thrilled, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And I kind of discovered you through your dad. Tell our listeners real quick about the amazing Greg Redfern.
My dad's just a brilliant astronomer. He's always been into space and astronomy and coming up with these, brilliant PowerPoint presentations. He loves to travel. He has worked in the space industry and is very well connected and just very brilliant. And he also was at WTOP as a contributor, I believe, for 17 years.
And he'd be like the WTOP space reporter or space expert or something like that. Yeah.
Right, all those long columns. And it would just be so funny because every Saturday he would work on the column and he was so thrilled. And I loved watching him because that's where he got most of his, he got his followers and his traction in the metro area, Metro Washington, D.C. area as being one of the premier astronomers and just space experts and, government officials would work with him and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and
I'm proud of him.
You should be. I'm sure he's proud of you too. No, he's a great guy from all of our interactions. We would, I was the movie critic, and he was, doing the NASA, the space reports. So, but whenever there was a chance to collaborate, we would. I'm trying to think like that 2021, the Adam McKay movie with Leo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Don't Look Up. Which is sort of an allegory, I guess, for COVID, really, at the time. Everyone was sort of the ostrich mentality of. But anyway, we'd find ways to partner. So it was always cool. He's such a great guy, and so to be able to actually have a whole episode with his illustrious son here, this prolific artist, this is awesome.
He always mentioned you being really charismatic and personable. It's so interesting when people talk to him because he's just such a brilliant man. And then they're like, "Wait, are you guys related? Because you're just an artist." I'm like, "Yeah." That's so funny. Yeah, he loves WTOP and he loves doing space and science, astronomy, and just such a brilliant man.
Yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, let's dive into what you're working on most recently, I guess, or let's call it your latest signature piece. Tell me about the Eternal Majesty: The Rise of the Gold and Shadows. When did you make it? And go into sort of the the materials used for it.
It's so interesting. Everyone asks about it. I get so many DMs in my inbox about it. And it literally started during the pandemic when I was working from home. And I had seen like an angel. There was just so much like death and destruction, despair around me and my family and all my friends. And being home all the time really sucked. I don't know how else to sugarcoat it. I just saw this beautiful angel ascending from the heavens, all covered and draped in gold fabric. And I just first drew it out and it I didn't really like how it looked, so I just kind of left it and then came back to it a little bit later, but it did take about 5 years to paint. So I
Okay.
just finished it last year. So we're talking 2021 to 2025
Wow.
at thereabouts. And it's draped in gold layered paint. I love Michael Harding oil paints. Anyone that knows me, I don't know how I don't have an advertise with them yet, advertisement deal with them yet, because my basement is covered with Michael Harding oil paints. And
Maybe
so
he'll
that
hear this show and then he'll, give you make you a sponsor.
hopefully, yeah, no, I love that. It's just so funny, but that took about 5 years. And then the
Wow.
gold I added in, I'd had it from my grandmother. She had left it to me. So it is about 100 plus years old.
So this is your
She,
late grandmother, Leah Jenks.
yeah, yes, that's my
Okay.
late grandmother.
Where did she
So
buy it? Was this in the
Spain.
20s?
Yeah, in the 20s in Spain. She loved to travel for jewelry. She had a small jewelry business and she would travel. And so it just, she had a bunch of stuff. And that's primarily what I use in my fine art and other things I picked up across the years from my travels as well.
Wow. All right. So just to clarify for our listeners, your late grandmother, Leah Jenks, traveled and acquired or purchased this 24 karat gold in the 1920s in Spain, and you used a lot of that in this actual painting. It's what, a 50 by 70-inch painting, oil
Yes.
painting, but you layer in 24 karat gold, like 100 grand worth of it.
Layered, and then the paints are on top of it. And that's why it was a very intricate process. And I didn't like how it turned out most of the time. So I'd go and come back. And I think one of the greatest assets we have as being artists, fine artists, is time.
Yeah.
So if you don't like something, you can come back. There's no rush.
Yeah.
I knew this piece would take years because I'm very, very meticulous. Anyone that knows me knows that I have a particular style. I like things in a particular order. I like how things look visually, the visual hierarchy and the visual composition. At one point, my sister actually was like, "Are you ever going to finish it? Because it's just been sitting
Yeah.
in your basement for 5 months." I was like, "I'll get to it." So I'm really thankful I had that time to visit,
Yeah.
work on it, and come back to it. But yeah, it appraised for $15 million. It was insane how that process worked, and the people, the gallery, and the representation, driving it up in the back of my car to New York City, hoping I wouldn't get robbed. It was just all a process. I'm just so thrilled I had that experience. But that really opened up the gateway to, blue chip fine art, which is different than normal fine art because it's elevated. It's a higher caliber and a higher echelon of art. But I'm just happy to be here, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. Well, there's so much you said I want to unpack really quick. Our listeners can't actually see the image we're talking about. So let's take a step back. Describe what we see in Eternal Majesty, the Rise of the Golden Child. You mentioned like an angel, but like if you really can, like try to describe like colors or textures if you can.
Yeah, it's a warm based paint tone painting. So you see the angel descending from the heavens, and around it is shrouded in gold. So there's lots of gold, and the base of the painting there is like all these flowers and just amazing composition at the base of it, and the gold actually drips off the foil into the painting itself, which is really badass. Can I say
You
that?
can say
um,
badass. There's no censoring on it.
so that was just really, I really wanted that wow effect, and boy, did I get it. And
Yeah.
that took year. It took years. People are like, how many weeks did that take? Oh no, it took years, about 5 years, and it
Oh yeah.
literally was me sitting on the floor, slaving away,
Wow.
multiple
Wow.
iterations.
That is
And
awesome.
also, I
Well,
wear gloves. A lot of people are shocked when I tell them I wear gloves because they're like, "What? Is it a surgery?" No, it's me protecting the oils on my hands, not to get it tarnished.
I like that. I like that. See all these cool little nuances and tidbits we're learning about your process. I love it. You're saying you're driving from, I guess, is it
Oh,
Centerville, Virginia? Is that where you were doing the painting? Okay, and then so you put it in your car, and so here's this thing that appraises for what, $15 million. I think they were listing it for 9 million at the Naturalist
9 million
Gallery
to be very safe. Yes,
in New
safe.
York City, right? But you're literally putting it in the back of your paint that picture for me a little bit, pun not intended. Paint me a picture with your words. What kind of car is this? Is this in a trunk? You're driving up what I-95? You're sitting in New York traffic. Like
I,
this is a great story.
yeah, no. So I literally got the call from the gallery. At first I just submitted it because I had done pieces with the gallery before, and they were like, "Okay, and we'll get back to you in 2 or 3 business days." Oh no, it was the same day. They called me and said, "Can you come up to New York City?" So I threw it in the back of my car. I had just had it framed, like a year ago, and it turned out beautifully, as I'm sure you saw with the footage. But I literally drove it up to New York City, and I met with the curator and the team, and this gallery is a naturalist gallery. It has a very small New York City presence, and then it's a huge online presence.
Where in the
I
city
think it's
exactly is the
by the Armory, by
armory?
the
Okay.
Armory
Okay.
exhibit. Yes, so
Got it.
around that area, and then the online presence they have is like
Yeah.
one of the top three largest in the nation.
That's
I
the
know.
big thing because yeah, this thing's been seen what more than 200 million times on Instagram and TikTok. Like the this
Uh,
painting is living in our minds mostly digitally, but you can actually visit in New York in this. Okay, the Armory.
yeah, so it was in New York for a while. Now it's back with me, and
Okay.
then we have one interested party. I did receive a full price offer, which I actually rejected. It was a corporation. I know it was a
Why did you
corporation.
reject it? That's interesting to me.
The corporation, I just didn't match up on, the press that around this piece. It wouldn't be what I would want it to be
Okay.
after I worked so hard. It was a corporation. It wasn't a person. So
Hmm.
I can't say who it was, but it was
Right.
not a person. It was a corporation.
I got you.
So it was just I wanted to be like in a home or a museum and not in
Right.
someone's office. You know.
That's interesting. That maybe for some of our listeners that are kind of new to this world, that's interesting. That all the different factors you have to factor it's not just about the who wants to pay the most for us. It's what is the legacy of this? Where is it going? What publicity is going to come along with who purchased it? So I never thought about
And
that, but that's
I
fantastic.
yeah, and without saying the corporation thing, they had some dings and like the SEC filings, and I just
Oh,
that was not what I want my name to be associated with.
gotcha.
They understood when I
Yeah,
told them I was like I really want it in a
yeah.
residence or a museum, and
Right.
they were upset. But I'm glad that
You just
we did
quoted Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum. Uh,
that.
well, hey, you were mentioning sort of, how a second ago about, you have to be cognizant of who are your buyers and all that stuff. So, who are some of the ones who've purchased your stuff over the years? I know there's like right some heads of state and some celebrities. Like
uh,
remind if you're allowed to name drop a couple, come on, it'll show you how big of a deal you are. If just name drop a few.
You're so funny. So yeah, I would say a few celebrities in Malibu area specifically, and then I have done two portraits of Saudi princes that ended up at the Saudi embassy, and then one went to the palace in Riyadh. I can't remember the name of it; it's very
Right,
long.
right.
So that was 2022 and 23. So the Saudi people are so kind and friendly, and at least with me and our interactions, and so I was really happy to do that. That really also opened up the Pandora's box of fine art for the nation.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot in McLean. A lot of my buyers are here in McLean, Northern Virginia. I'm heavily involved with the McLean Project of the Arts, which is my shout out for them. So a lot of my buyers in McLean, but they're very nice people who have a lot more money than I ever will,
Yeah,
and are the
yeah.
nicest people that you would never know walking around
That-
ever.
That's awesome. Are you able to mention some of the you said Malibu or
Uh, I,
is it private? Like we can't say we can't be like Leo
I
DiCaprio has this on his wall.
No, but I will say it's a few of the housewives. So I did do one recently for Seth Meredith Marks,
Okay.
which we filmed on the show, but it didn't end up making on the show for season 6.
Okay.
But Seth and Meredith Marks are the nicest people, and they were like, "Can you please?" I know you're not really housewives, but like a season ago, she did her bar mitzvah at an older age, and so they wanted to captivate that moment. So that's what that painting is.
Awesome.
So I'm very well connected to the housewives. I've done about 3 or 4 other housewives, so I can't name, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'd be very upset. So, or maybe not. I don't know. But Seth and Meredith Marks have always been so kind, and they're really cool people. He's very chill. So I did do their painting for the season 6.
Cool. Well, thanks for giving us at least one name drop
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
That's awesome. Um,
yeah.
and speaking of celebs, it also goes the other way. You actually have like one of your prized possessions that you've painted, or at least most viewed, is you did an oil painting of Beyonce, right? Explain similar to how you use the gold in the other painting we were talking about. Like in this one, you use silver and gold dust, right?
Silver, yep, silver leaf and tin and blue enamel, red enamel, gray enamel, and all the enamels were dating back from the 1800s to 1920s, around that time frame.
Wow.
So some of that was inherited, some of that I found. Is a beautiful piece. I loved Beyonce's album Lemonade. I know it's a little dated. She came out with a country album. Wasn't I like Lemonade
Cowboy
better?
Carter, yeah,
I will say Beyonce's songs have always caught me like creatively,
yeah.
because I'm always thinking about like the next thing, and her music just really just makes me open my Pandora's box of thinking and
Mhm.
dreaming and learning and always envisioning. But I love Cowboy Carter. Lemonade though, I was inspired by Sorry, which is one of her like my favorite song from Lemonade.
Nice.
But I had watched The Woman in Gold during the pandemic, but it came out in 2015. Well, you're the movie expert. Tell me, but it came out, that movie, Woman in Gold, in
Yeah.
2015, and I was so inspired by that. I had all the
Not to
silver,
be
and I was like,
confused with
and
Gold Member, also starring
oh
Beyonce, the
yes,
Austin Powers,
yes,
Foxy
that was the best
Cleopatra.
cameo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you love that cameo of her in that?
Well, that's more than a cameo. She was like the sidekick, love interest in that movie in the Austin. The third. That was the third Austin Powers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was that was such a great movie. I
That
love
might have been
that.
her breakthrough. Now we're tangenting, but this is probably going to happen a bunch during this conversation. But
That's all good.
I think that was her first like big breakthrough because Dreamgirls and all that was after, on the big screen. But
After,
yeah, at least
yeah,
the first I
no, so
remember because that was still like Destiny's Child days. But yeah.
she's just really talented. I know people hate on her for all the money, but she's really talented and it's done a lot of nonprofit work. And so
Mhm.
I was really honored to do that. And, I just, it was in my head and I wanted to do, in GW, where I went undergraduate,
Yeah.
I'd studied about Gustav Klimt and I'd done a paper on him. And so he's one of my favorite artists, as long my non-American favorite artists. And so I envisioned that. And again, I started it and it just turned out beautifully. Some people say it looks like Beyonce, some people say it looks like Shakira, but I definitely think it looks like Beyonce. So those are
Well, you're
those online videos.
You created it, so I think you'll get the final say of which diva it is of the music realm. We'll go with Beyonce on that one, but I think it's been seen by 100 million views on Instagram and TikTok. So again, just like the previous piece we mentioned, a lot of eyeballs have seen this painting. Did someone purchase, or is it in the
No,
private collection?
it's still my private collection. People have reached out and said they're affiliated with her, but I did have a mutual friend of hers that I kind of knew through the circuit of teaching, students and that sort of thing reach out, and so we're starting to collaborate. So we'll just see where it goes. I'm again very grateful, and wherever it ends up, even if it's a nonprofit, I'm more than happy.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you kind of mentioned you name dropped GW going to college, and we've mentioned that Centerville, Virginia is sort of where you're sort of based. So let's actually do that. Let's take a step back and let's sort of I would love to go sort of into your childhood and how you got into this racket to begin with. So technically you were born in San Francisco, what, in late 80s? I was born in 84, so we're about the same age, late 80s ish in San
Yeah,
Fran.
late 80s, and we literally lived there for like three years, and then we moved to Northern Virginia. My dad took a job in the government. I don't. My mom worked at a library. I think in Manassas Regional. And
Okay.
we moved here, and it was just so different from California.
Yeah.
It was really interesting because the houses were like two levels and not one.
Yeah.
I was enamored by McLean, driving in as a child, like the construction and craftsmanship of all the beautiful houses in McLean. You've been there, you know what it looks
Of course,
like.
yeah. I worked at USA
Well,
Today for a while. I would drive to McLean every
oh
day.
wow, that's
But yeah, yeah, yeah.
awesome.
The big two, the Gannett Towers right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah,
that's awesome. And Tyson's Corner. I mean,
yeah.
it's such a. I see so many parallels in California and now Northern Virginia,
Yeah.
but I am absolutely enamored by the craftsmanship of all the houses here because it's just like,
Yeah.
well, it looks like a rap video because it's like every house
Yeah,
is like 50,000 square feet, and
exactly.
but I like the brick, I like the stucco, I like the stone. So that's really what I love about Northern Virginia, all the different houses styles, Tyson's Corner. Yeah, growing up, I used to see like visions just come to me as a child, and my mom would be like, "What in the world? What are we gonna do with you?"
What do you mean? As a kid, you
So
would describe these creative visions to your mom?
yes,
Really?
I'd be like, "Do you see that blue angel in the corner?" And she'd be like, "What?" And I'd be like, "Do you see all the lights around?" And she'd be like, "What?" And especially in middle school and high school, it like really came forward. And I started painting back in 2001, which I'm not sure a
Okay.
lot of people make that connection, but I started this collection 24 years ago.
Wow. So basically, you were kind of like Haley Joel Osment. You had the sixth sense. You were just seeing, you were seeing, except the painter version, I guess.
That's
That's
awesome.
fantastic. All right. So then you're all right. In addition to these actual visions, so that's like your brain's tapping into the cosmos or something, and you're getting this creative inspiration, divine inspiration, or whatever you want to call it. But how about in terms of just like practical experience of going to art museums or anything? Did you were the,
Oh, I
was
love
there
that.
specific places in San Francisco or at least when you came to DC? I mean, all the Smithsonian and everything, it was already here. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what inspired you as a kid.
So I definitely going back to California, the Palace. I don't know if you've ever been there. San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts is the most epic, beautiful place you can walk around. It was built in like the 1900s for a World's Fair.
Don't they go there in Hitchcock's Vertigo? I'm pretty sure Jimmy
Yes,
Stewart
they
and Kim
do.
Novak walk
Yes,
around. Wait, it's not where they see Carlotta Valdez's portrait. I think it's later when after she's
later, yeah,
transformed into Judy and
and
everything's
they
all
walk around.
happy. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's that structure. It's beautiful. Everyone should go there. It's beautiful.
And I have to say, the first one with Carlotta Valdez is the Palace of the Legion of Honor. That's where
Oh,
that
that's the
one
museum.
is.
That museum's right down the street, though.
Yeah. So you probably went to both. By the way, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's amazing. But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, here in DC, the Smithsonian, like you mentioned, I like grew up there as a child, so I really started going to museums here when I was 6 or 7, and then every summer we go back to California, so we go back and forth, which is probably why I hate to travel now because I was always
Yeah.
going back and forth in the plane every summer. But all the museums here are world class; they're amazing. I would go probably every weekend, especially even undergrad. Writing those art history papers that I love doing so much, which I didn't, but I did.
Wow. But the point is you had no shortage of amazing art museums to see growing up, and then you combine that, I guess,
But
with your Sixth Sense vision here, and boom, we you launched your career in 2001, right? As officially as a
so,
painter, I guess.
yes, as a
So
painter, as a watercolorist, and everything, sketch drawing.
yeah, I was gonna ask you which mediums did you? Because I know you do now. You've done oil paintings, watercolors, drawings, and photography. But like back then, what was the evolution of like which ones did you start doing first, and when did you start at layering in the other disciplines?
I believe I started in watercolors first, and I did like 3 or 4, and it was so time consuming. I was like, what is this? But I love the end result, and I would go take classes actually at this Burke Conservatory. I'm not sure what it's called now, but back then it was the Burke Conservatory of the Arts in the Commons in Burke neighborhood in Burke, Virginia.
Oh, Burke,
Uh,
Virginia. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they have classes there on Saturday. My mom would go drop me off, and these would be like 4 or 5 hours, and I ate it up like candy. I loved it.
I live up in Frederick, Maryland. It's the sort of the equivalent of it's called the Delaplane here in Frederick. But
Yeah,
I'm imagining, yeah, okay. So you're as a kid going like little is that watercolor classes or
it was watercolor classes, and the
wow.
teacher would be like, "Can you come to the front of class?" I remember one time she was like, "Can you come to the front of class and show people what you can do?" I was like, "I don't think I'm that great, but apparently, I don't know." It was just so funny, and I
Yeah.
remember my mom. We were going to throw away
Yeah.
later on when I was moving for college or something. We were moving houses. We were going to
Right.
throw away the first watercolor I did because it wasn't that great, but she actually framed it and saved it, which was so smart.
Good.
Because I
You
can
have
compare
to.
it to now.
Yeah.
It's like 20-year difference. It's so weird. It's so
That
funny
also
to look back.
appraises for 15 million. No.
I wish, I wish it would.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad. I'm tracking a little bit, but one of the number one questions I get asked is how can I get started as an artist? Save your work. Don't ever throw anything away ever.
Right. That's great. That's great advice. Probably, especially because artists of any kind, we're our own worst critics, and you probably want to just rip out the novel and throw it out or whatever. But you're saying save the early artwork because one day you'll want to go back and look at it. All right.
It all starts at a very young age.
Cool.
Honest to God, it really does.
That's awesome. All right, so then I guess as you get a little older, so we've kind of gone into your formative years, but in terms of you mentioned going to college, you went to GW, George Washington University there in Foggy Bottom, and what exactly did you study? Was it an art major, or were you doing like tech or business, or what were you doing?
Yeah, no. So, fine art was like my minor, and then I did visual communications, and I think it was called graphic design back then. So that
Okay.
was my visual, and then the advertising I absolutely loved. And so, I also took a lot of art history electives, which I'm not sure I would do if looking back and to redo it because it was a
Yeah.
lot of reading and a lot of different sectors of the arts. So a lot of things I am not like a huge fan of, but I
Yeah.
appreciate and I'm more of a Renaissance and classical and everything, so fancy.
Right, right,
I
yeah.
just eat that, and it's just those stories you can't, you can't retell them, you can't remake them,
Yeah.
and so it's well, even with the same with movies, it's like going back to the beginning. Everything starts at the beginning, and history repeats itself. But
Yeah.
those stories are just epic and amazing, and I love writing about them.
Absolutely. So, all right. So, what after you graduate, you go into like the tech sector in Virginia?
Yeah, so I went into the tech and corporate, and I started my first project out of undergraduate was designing a logo for a Fortune 500 company, which they thrusted me into doing.
Nice.
And that really became the crux of my career. I've done that 5 times since I graduated, and
Wow.
these are huge companies. I've worked for the last 3.5 years for Maersk, the shipping company. It's been a
Nice.
great experience, and I have my art on the side. And but yeah, I've branded these huge companies, and everyone's like always asking me, "Do you ever get nervous?" I'm like, "No, you really just have to go in there and lead with a straight charge and
Yeah.
just do it."
Awesome. All right. So that's sort of the career in addition to the art career. But is it fair to also call you a social media influencer? I mean, you have like 1 million followers on Instagram. So have you been able to leverage that at all? Or are people reaching out to you to
A lot of
highlight
people,
stuff?
yeah, a lot of people reached out, and I'm starting to get some good deals in the works. But that took 12, 13 years. That did not happen overnight. You have to post at least 2 to 3 times a week, and you have to stay on one consistent core subject, which in my case is fine art. But
Yeah.
I you have to be consistent to your brand. So fine art, and don't stray too far away. I will say I've struggled on TikTok though. I had my first TikTok live where I was like, I'm going to do live painting, and I literally set everything up, and it was in the floor of my basement. I love to paint on the floor, which is like unheard of in that fine art world. Like people are horrified.
They're
So I set
floored.
up my I know they're floored. So I'm setting everything up. This is my only TikTok live I've ever done last year. And I think I had 30 people, which is like nothing, which is so funny. And these people are like, wow, you paint on the floor. That's like really, really unheard of. And then I started doing the brush strokes after I sketched everything out. And this lady's like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it. It was a cascade of that. I was like, I'm never doing this again. One and done. Live painting, TikTok,
Never
live
live
over.
again. And on Tik, yeah, literally, they're like, TikTok, what's taking so long? That's
They're like,
great.
why isn't it done yet? It's been 30 minutes. I was like, I'm over
You're like
this.
my signature $15 million oil painting in New York City took 5 years. So, that's
I,
you use some time lapse photography on that line. Yeah, never again. No live painting, right?
but
That's
I'm glad
great.
I tried. I'm glad I tried it, and
Worth a shot.
I think Instagram is better because it's a larger platform.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm older, but I always had great success in Instagram, and artists will always promote other artists' work on Instagram, which I don't
Yeah.
find the same case on TikTok. So I try to promote everybody, but I've just never been like.
Yeah.
And then people are like, critique my work, and I do not do that. Sorry.
Yeah. So the fine art community, you're saying there is a huge following of other fine artists and art collectors and museums and everyone around the world that you all follow each other, and that's how you got to 1 million followers, probably.
Yes,
Right.
it's a niche. It's all collaborative. It's highly, highly
Right.
supportive, and it's great on
Right.
Instagram. I love it.
How does that actually work in terms of, if you go to a concert, there people are like, put down your phones and experience the music, or a movie, you can't put the whole 2 hour movie on Instagram, or you can do a little reel, a little snippet of it. But for fine art, it's a still image. So is it weird to be like showing it for free, or is that part of the promotion because it will then lead to the exposure to them to check out the
No,
real?
it's part of the promotion, and I have like 5,000 other ones that are
Yeah,
in the vault. I need
right.
to bring them out, and I will this next year. But I think a
Yeah,
little promotion never hurt anybody, and I
yeah,
like to show everyone like the completed process.
yeah,
Some artists like to do stages,
yeah.
processes of their art, and I
Right.
like to do the beginning and then the end.
Where
Because
is this vault, by the way? Where is this vault? In
it is
Virginia?
in Washington. It's in Washington D.C., and we've
Okay.
had it. It's a safety deposit box room, basically,
Nice.
and all my paintings that aren't here at the house with me are there.
Wow.
And I won't say how many, the ratio,
That's fine.
but
Yeah.
watercolors and drawings and photos and
There's
a
one of the
lot of
Willard
treasures.
Hotel, right? A really detailed drawing of the DC. I'm
Yes, the
thinking
Willard Hotel,
DC.
and then the
Yeah.
Smithsonian. There's a watercolor of the Smithsonian, and then
Yeah.
I've done some international watercolors. I do like to focus on America.
Yeah.
That's just it's so beautiful here,
Yeah.
and but I've done some international work as well.
I love it.
But yes, The vault is in Washington, D.C. Yes.
I love it. Hey, before we go, sort of in the final seconds, if you don't mind, what is the biggest success story of one of your paintings?
So I wouldn't say it's been a sale necessarily. It's been a partnership with a museum that's ongoing. It's
Yeah.
been about 4 years unfolding, and it's meeting with them constantly. And hopefully this year it will come to fruition. But
Which
I
museum?
really,
We can't say which museum.
unfortunately,
What
but I'm
city? What city?
New York City.
New York City? Okay.
Yes. So it's been like a date. It's been a long
Yeah.
process, and so
Yeah.
hopefully this year it's finally coming to fruition,
Yeah.
and I'll be able to announce it and be putting some pieces in there soon. But that's been a labor of love.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I think we covered a lot of ground in a little time, and I
Yes.
appreciate you. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and tell your dad I said hi, Greg Redfern, NASA. I think is he still, or is he retired now? Or he's still, no, he's still doing it. I saw something on the other day.
Retired about 10 years ago, but he's still doing it and loves it. And he's awesome. But I definitely will tell him you said hello. And I look forward to seeing this when this episode gets released.
Absolutely, Daniel Redfern. Hey,
All right,
thank
take
you, thank
care.
you so
Yeah.
much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great night. All right. Bye bye bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.